Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Attorney Lillian with Lily Legal. And today I am going to be going over how you can check on your how long your case is going to take before you even file, and while your case is pending, to find out when you can actually go to your interview, when you can expect to go to your interview. Okay, so that's what we are going to be going through today. I hope you're excited. I hope you're ready with your questions. Okay, and as always, if you have any questions or want to meet with me personally, you can do that by booking a time. We can talk in person or on Zoom by going to lilylegal.com. When you go on my page, there's a button right there that says schedule a consultation. Click that and you can pick a time that works best for you. Or you can call my office at 508-443-1788, and that will also get you scheduled for a consultation. So, um, as always, if this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you find this helpful. I am an immigration lawyer, and I'm the owner of Lily Legal, which is an immigration only law firm based in Massachusetts. However, we get to help our clients all over the US and all over the world get status for themselves and for their family. So stay tuned, and I will tell you all about today's topic, which is how do you know how long your case is going to take? Okay, not only will I tell you, I'm also going to show you so that you can do this on your own. Anytime that you're wondering how much longer you have to wait for your case, you can just go on, put in your information, and you can see what cases are being processed. You can see where you could be in line. So just know this is me walking you through it. However, right? However, you can also use this as a guide if you want to look up this information yourself and know exactly what to expect when you're going through the immigration process, not just um, when your case is going to be approved, but also if you're applying for someone outside of the US, you want to know when a visa is going to be available for them, especially if they are not an immediate relative. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that immediate relatives of US citizens always have a visa available. All you really need to know is the processing time, how long it takes for the USCIS to process the case, and how long it's going to take for the embassy to schedule an interview. Okay, that's really all you care about if you're an immediate relative of a US citizen. Now, if you are not a US citizen, or you're a US citizen filing for, let's say, a sibling, right, or children over 21, children that are married, you will have to pay attention to something called the visa bulletin. So, before we get into the visa bulletin and all of that, we're going to start from step one. Okay. And with every single application you're filing, if you're filing for someone in the US or outside of the US to come here and live permanently, that's what we're talking about, right? You want to file for a family member to come to the US and live permanently, and you want to know how long that's going to take. No matter if the person is a child of a US citizen, immediate relative, a child of a permanent resident, spouse of a permanent resident, sibling, it does not matter. The first step is an I-130. Okay, so depending on whether you're filing for an immediate relative in the US, will determine if you're filing other applications with it. But the main thing you need to know is the first step is an I-130 that needs to be approved before you get to the green card. Now, if your immediate relative is in the US, you can file the I-130 and the green card application all at the same time. But for most people that are filing for someone outside of the US, your first step is the I-130. So I'll start by showing you how to look at your processing time, because that's how you know when you are filing these applications. The first step is, what is my processing time? How long is this office that has my application going to take to process the application, to make a decision on the application if the person is outside of the US, or to send it to the field office that's going to interview me if the person is in the US? Okay, so first step, you need to know your processing time. You need to know how long you're waiting for the I-130 to be processed, to be approved, or for an interview to be scheduled. So before we get into that, I just want to welcome everyone that's joining me. Hi, Favor, welcome. And thank you so much for watching. If you are just joining, know that you can ask me questions in the comments. That's what I'm here for. I will be answering all your questions as we go along. If you are watching this on the replay, welcome. And also go ahead and put your questions in the comments. I always go back and respond. So feel free to do that if you have any questions on this process or any other immigration questions. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can use this as a guide when you want to go and check and you forgot where I said to go. You can always watch this video and follow the steps that I'm following. Okay, so the first step is that you need your receipt notice. So every time you file an application with USCIS, they send you a receipt notice. So this basically says, we received your application. We know we're processing your application. Here's the application you filed for. They'll give you all that information in the receipt notice. So you can use that receipt notice to check your processing time. So first step, get your receipt notice in front of you. If you don't have it and you're following along with me, go ahead and pop out and get that receipt notice, and so you can follow along. So I'll show you a sample receipt notice. This is going to be for a 485, the 765. So this is a receipt notice. So the things that tells you it's a receipt notice is, first off, right there, it says notice type receipt. Okay, they make it really simple, and I try to make it really simple for you too. So you get your receipt notice, it tells you what the notice type is right there. It tells you the case type, right? The case type is an application for employment authorization. Now, your case type could be relative petition, right? If you're filing for a relative, it could be adjustment of status application. So this is going to tell you what type of case you have, what the form number is, and what that application is. This tells you, the receipt date tells you when it was received. Okay, so you know when it was filed. That's really important for checking your processing time, because you need that to know if you are within the processing time or if they are taking way too long to approve your case, right? The next thing you need is the receipt number. So I blocked it off here because this is a client's personal information. You're not going to see any of that. Okay. So right here is your receipt number. It will always start with three letters and a series of numbers. Okay. So if you're looking at your notice and you're not sure where you're supposed to look for, you're looking for the receipt number, starts with three letters and a series of numbers. That is your receipt number. And I'll show you, when you're looking for the processing time, you are not using your receipt number necessarily to find out what the processing time is on your case. However, if you find out that your case is past the processing time, you can use the receipt number to do something called a service request. I'll show you all of that as we go along. So now we know what the receipt number is, we know the case type, and we know when it was received. Over here will give you information about yourself or the person you're filing for. Now, the next thing you need to know is which office has your case, right? Because that's going to help you to know what the processing time for that specific office is. That's really important. Okay. So not only do you need to know your the date your application was received, the type of application that's pending, you also need to know the office that has your application. That's how you can check the processing time. So those are the main things you need to get from your receipt notice. So now we have the office. So that's the National Benefits Center. And I'll show you in the next slide how to actually use this information. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to USCIS.gov. This is where you go to find the processing time for different case types. The processing time, again, this is how the easiest way for you to do it is go to uscis.gov, and then you see when you scroll down on the main page, it will say manage your case, and you see where it says check processing time. That's what you want. You want to check your processing time. That's why you're here. You can also check your case status, but your case status, if it hasn't been approved, will just say that it's pending. They received your application. What you really want to know is how long do I have to wait before you make a decision? So that's when you click the check processing time. And like I said, the first thing you need to know is the form. What form are you looking for, right? What form did you apply for? So as you saw from our previous screen, we applied for a 765 application for employment authorization. So I'm getting this information, right? If you're following along, I'm getting this information from right up here, case type. And then now it wants the service center or field office that has the application. Now, for each case type, there's only certain service centers that handle those cases. So for employment authorization, you can see there's a California Service Center, the National Benefit Center, which is where our case is, the Nebraska Service Center, Potomac, Texas, and Vermont. These offices all handle application for employment authorization. However, depending on where you are in the process or what other applications you filed with your petition, will determine which center has your case. So we're going to select the National Benefit Center because that's where our case is being processed. And then we're going to click Get Processing Time. That's it, right? That's really how hard this whole thing is. That's the first step, right? So now we know that the estimated time range at the National Benefit Center is between 9 to 9.5 months for a work permit. Now you scroll all the way down and you see that there's more information, right? Because you want to know, is your case type actually within the processing time or outside of it? Now, depending on what your application is based on, right? So, for someone that's applying for a work authorization under the category of C10, you know that your case, you should have received a decision on your case if it was filed before March 23rd, 2021. Okay, so that type of case, that type of work authorization takes 3.5 to 5.5 months. Now, if you have a final order of deportation and you're filing a work authorization, it's going to take 4.5 to 11 months. And if your case was filed before October 9, 2020, you know that it is outside of the processing time and you should have received some sort of notice or decision on your case. If your case is based on adjustment of status. So if you file for a green card application, and with that application um, you filed for work authorization, those are taking 9 months to 9.5 months to be approved. Now, if your case was filed before December 3rd, 2020, it means it is outside the processing time and you can go ahead and do a service request. Now, all other types is taking 9 months to 13 months. So if your case does not fit into the first three that I talked about, your case is going to take anywhere between 9 months and 13 months. That's just what it is. And mind you, this is just for the National Benefit Center. Each service center has different processing times. Okay? Each service center has different processing types. Each case type, right? Because we had to select a form. So each case type also has different processing times. So what I'm going to do, what you really want to know is how long is it taking for an I-130 to be approved. Now, when you click on I-130, you see that the National Benefit Center, excuse me, the National Benefit Center is no longer on the list because they do not process the I-130s. Okay. So depending on where you live or where your case was routed to, you're going to fit into one of these service centers. Now, let's say, for example, that you are at the California Service Center and you want to know how long is the I-130 going to take. So you see the previous example, you saw that they give us estimated time range. For this one, they're not given an estimated time range because it is vastly different depending on what type of application you filed and who you filed for. Okay, so if you are a permanent resident and you are filing for a spouse or a child under 21, right? You are filing for a spouse or a child under 21, and your case is at the California Service Center. You're looking at 24.5 months to 32 months. Okay, so that's a year and 2 years to almost 3 years. Like, just so when you are filing, you need to be very clear on your process, what your processing time can actually be. That's one of the things for a lot of my clients that gets them really, really upset with the system is how long it actually takes. So when the case is routed from, let's say, the Vermont Service Center to California Service Center, it can increase the amount of time you have to wait. So just keep that in mind as you're filing, to have realistic expectations of how long everything is going to take. So this is only for the I-130 to be approved by USCIS. This is not including the time is going to take for a visa, for an interview to be scheduled at the embassy, or for a visa to become available if you are filing under a category that requires a visa to be available before you can move forward. So that's something to really keep in mind. So right now at the California Service Center, permanent residents filing for their spouse or their child under 21 and a U.S. citizen filing for a spouse, parent, or child under 21, the processing time is exactly the same. Okay? Permanent resident filing for spouse and children under 21 and U.S. citizen filing for spouse, parent, or child under 21, the processing time is the same. The processing time is the same right now. So sometimes people want to wait till they become a citizen to go ahead and file for their children or their spouse because they think it will be faster. Well, this is telling you that it is exactly the same. There's no difference between a permanent resident filing for their spouse and a U.S. citizen filing for their spouse. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. You might not want to wait if this is the situation that we're in right now with the processing times. Now, if you are a US citizen filing for your unmarried children that are over 21, unmarried children over 21, you are looking at 39 and a half months to 51 months. So if your case was filed before June 11, 2017, and you haven't received a decision or anything from USCIS, those are the people that can actually ask why it's taking so long. Okay. That is really important because you want to be able to see where you are in the process. And if you have your case pending for a long time and you're wondering why is it taking so long, this is why. Especially I've had people come to me and they filed on their own and they don't understand why it's taking so long. And I will go through this exercise with them. I will ask them for the receipt notice and I will show them this process. It's not you, right? Sometimes it may be that you didn't send in a certain document on time and that delayed your case. But if you send in all the right documents and your case is taking over a year, and I find out that it's at the California Service Center, all I can tell you is to wait. Unfortunately, that's what I can tell you is to wait because that's how long it's taken right now at the California Service Center. Okay. So patience is key in these situations. Now, if you're a US citizen filing for your married son or daughter, okay, you are looking at 107 months to 139 months. So the people that can even do a service request, which I'm going to show you next, is people that filed before February 18, 2010. Those are the people that can bother USCIS about how long this is taking. So that's something to really keep in mind in these situations. It's, sometimes it it might be some complications with your case, but if there's no complications with your case, it might just be that you need to wait for the processing time. Okay? So, that is the California Service Center. I wanted to show you this because it's one of the longest right now. So, just to have your expectations in check when it comes to how long it's actually going to take. Okay? So, I just want to welcome all of you that are joining and tell you what we're talking about because you might not have been here from the beginning and you're like, what is going on? This is different setup from our typical Friday chats, right? So today I'm going to be showing you how to check how long your immigration case is actually going to take, right? This is for if you're filing an application with USCIS. Right now, I'm showing you how you can go in and look at your form type, right? And the field office or service center that has your case so that you can check how long is it taking for that service center to process the type of case you have. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. Now, the next thing people want to know is if I'm applying for a green card in the US, how long is it going to take? Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? The green card applications in the US need an interview. Okay. So you can actually go and look at your particular service center, or what I suggest is look at your field office. So what does that mean? That means that, for example, I am in Massachusetts. There's two field offices in Massachusetts. There's the Boston and there's the Lawrence. Okay. So depending on where you live, if you live in central Massachusetts, your case will most likely be with the Lawrence field office. If you live in the Boston area or the Metro West, your case is going to be at the Boston Service Center. Oh, Boston field office. I'm sorry. So what you can do is If you know you have a form I-485 pending and you want to know what's your field office really doing, you can go here. I'm going to use my local field office as an example here. So you click on Lawrence, and you know that the Lawrence field office is taking anywhere from 9 months to 22 months to process a green card application. Okay? So if it's based on family, it is taking 12. Let me actually make this bigger for you all so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So if your application is family based, so this is you're filing for a family member to get a green card, or your application is based on an application filed for you by a family member. Okay, let me repeat that. That was jumbled. So if your green card is based on an I-130 that was filed for you by a family member, you are looking at 12 and a half months to 28 months for your green card application to be processed. And that means for interviews to be scheduled. Okay. So some people might get theirs at 12 and a half months or 28 months. There's nothing really telling you which one is going to be. So I like showing this to people so that they know and have realistic expectations of how long it's going to take. Typically, I have cases that were filed in 2020 that already had their interview, already have their green card in hand. The last one I had was filed in October of 2020, and they already have, we had the interview, and the case was approved yesterday, and the green card is being processed. So, again, this is a time range. It does not actually mean, right? So, this is a time range. It does not actually mean that your case is going to take 28 months. It means that it could take 28 months or it could be less than 28 months. This is just giving you a range of time to keep in mind. And like I said, depending on where you live, you can go ahead and look at the different places. So if you live near Long Island, New York, right, and your case is going to be interviewed in Long Island, New York, you can get the processing time. So you can see that in Long Island, it is taking 12 months to 40 months, right? So in Long Island, family based, which is most of my clients are family based, right? Most of you are filing based on family if you're watching my channel, right? And if your case is family based in Long Island, New York, you are looking at 12 and a half months to 40 months for you to actually have an interview. So it really differs depending on where you live and the office that's going to be interviewing your case. So this is why I wanted to show you this processing time checker on the USCIS website so that you know how to go in and check for yourself how long this stuff is going to take, and you are not basically freaking out, which is the emotion that I get from people all the time, is that they do not understand why it's taking so long. Some people feel like maybe they did something wrong with the process, and sometimes it's not you. It's just you happen to live in a place where the processing time is up to 40 months. And some people live in places where the processing time is up to 20 months. So again, it might not be you. It might just be the processing time. Okay. So this is why I want to show this to you so that you understand what the processing time is for your case, and you can go in here and look for it. So again, how do you get to this page? Okay. When you go to the USCIS.gov website, you can go to manage your case, and you see it says processing times. Another place you can go is tools, and you can find that there as well. But to make it easier for you, just go to, when you scroll down, manage your case, check processing time, It is right there. You can put your form type, right? The form that you actually filed, that you want to see how long it's going to take, and then the field office or service center that has your case. Okay. If you're applying for a green card and you know your green card is going to be interviewed, you'll be looking at the field office, not the service center, because the field office is where you get the interview. Okay. And the field office is where your case is decided, not the service center. So that's really important here. Now, if you are in the position where you are trying to figure out what the best, how long a visa is going to become available, right? You have your I-130 approved, you are excited, you are ready to go. But the National Benefit Center, the National Visa Center is not sending you anything. You're waiting, nothing is happening. They're telling you you have to wait some more, and you don't understand why. I'm going to show you why. Okay. So you have your I-130 approved, your family member is outside of the US, and you're waiting for the National Visa Center to send you the information so that you can start the actual visa application, so that you can get the interview. You're all excited and nothing is happening. You're not getting any notice from the National Visa Center. Nothing is happening. Well, I'll show you why nothing may be happening on your situation. Now, you to start this process, you will need your I-130 approval notice. Okay? That's what you need. Your I-130 approval notice. So remember, when we're checking the processing time on the USCIS side, we needed your receipt notice. Now we need your approval notice, because that will tell us a lot of information. So your approval notice will have your receipt number on top. So let's zoom in so you can see it. So it has your receipt number, your received date, so the date that USCIS actually received your application, your notice date. This is when they sent you this notice saying that your case has been approved. Your priority date, which is what you really need from this whole form, right? The approval notice, you need to know your priority date. And if you filed an I-130 and it's approved, it will have your priority date. Even before your I-130 is approved, your I-130 receipt notice will have your priority date on it as well. So you can check this your before your case is approved or after your case is approved. Either way, you just need the priority date on your form. Now, the next thing you're going to see here is it will tell you what type of case was approved. So yes, you filed an I-130, but what section was it approved under, right? So when people file for children, it will tell you, like this one is for an unmarried son or daughter, 21 or older, of a permanent resident. So LPR means lawful permanent resident. That's what this specific application was approved for. An unmarried child of a US citizen that's over 21, an unmarried child of a lawful permanent resident that's over 21. That's what we're working with here. So you want to make sure that not only do you know your priority date, but you also know under what section your case was approved, so that you are looking at the right things. You don't want to go through the whole visa bulletin and think you're looking at the right section, and it turns out, oh snap, I was looking at the wrong section, I have the wrong information, my expectations are now shattered. We don't want that. Okay. And that's why I'm doing this video. It's for you to be able to look this up and know that you are not a problem. It's just USCIS and the State Department are taking long time to decide your case. Okay. So we're going to go to the visa bulletin. I am going to actually go back and put this in the links to these two, the processing time and the visa bulletin. I will be putting that in the description to this video. So if you're watching it on Facebook or on YouTube, you can go in the description afterwards, and you can actually get the links to the visa bulletin and the processing time, so that you don't have to write down any URLs at this point. Okay. So when you get in here, so let's go back to the visa bulletin page. So like I said, I'll be putting the link to this page in the description. So when you go in, it will tell you what the current visa bulletin is. If you need to check the other year's visa bulletin, you can check it down here. But if you want to know what the current visa bulletin is, this will tell you. Typically before the end of September, the one for October will be up, so that you can compare the two and see if there's anything different. I will be doing that for you for October, and just comparing the September to the October and seeing if there's any movement or any difference that you should know about when it comes to your case. Okay. So we go to September, and now this is the part where it gets interesting, because you need to know, first off, what category, right? What preference family sponsored category do you actually fit into? Okay. So that's what you're looking for. You want to know where you fit in. So remember, we're working with someone who is an unmarried child of a permanent resident who is 21 years of age or older. Okay. So as you can see, unmarried son or daughters, 21 years of age or older, of permanent residence. That would be category F2B when you're looking at the chart. So again, you go back to your approval notice and you see right there, unmarried son or daughter, 21 or older, of lawful permanent resident. That's what we're working with here. So this preference will tell you where you fit in. So you know if you're F1, F2A, F2B, you just want to know where you fit in. So when you're actually looking at the chart, you know what you're looking for and you're not looking at the wrong things. Okay. So that's really important here, that you go through this preference um, um, definition to know where you fit in. So we are looking for F2B. Okay. So now F2B, there's two charts. Which chart do you actually look for, right? Which one are you looking at? So this is the final action date chart. And this is the date for filing family-based visa applications. Typically, once this becomes current for your application type, the National Visa Center will send you the notice telling you that it is time to start filling out your DS-260. Okay, so you really want to know when that is coming out for you. So you look at the second chart, and we look at F2B. When will a visa become available for someone in the category of F2B, which is the unmarried child of a permanent resident who is 21 years old or older? So if you are a permanent resident and you want to file for your child that's over 21 and unmarried, this is the chart you want to look at, and you want to look at F2B, right? Because that will tell you when, what cases they are processing right now. And you can use that to kind of guess how long it's going to take if you file your case today. Okay, so F2B, and you look at this. So every country other than China, mainland China, India, Mexico, and Philippines will be under this category right here. Okay. Now, if you are from India, Mexico, Philippines, or mainland China, you're going to be looking at these other columns here. So for F2B, which is for, let's say, Nigeria, because y'all know I'm from Nigeria. So F2B for Nigeria, they are processing cases from September 22nd, 2016. That's what that means. September 22nd, 2016. So if you filed your case before September 22nd, 2016, it means that the National Visa Center should have sent you a notice telling you it is time to go ahead and start filling out the application, the DS-260, the affidavit of support, and putting all that information in there so that you can get in line for an interview. That's what this is telling you. Now, if you are in China or India, it is exactly the same. Your dates are still September 22nd, 2016. However, if you are in Mexico or the person you're filing for is from Mexico, you are looking at October 1st, 2000. October 1st, 2000. That's the cases they are processing right now. Cases filed before October 1st, 2000. Those are the people that are ready to start the embassy stage of their case. Okay. So that is very important to know. And I usually show people this to basically tell them not to wait. Right? Because depending on when you got your permanent residency, let's say you got your permanent residency in 2016 and you waited till now to start filing for your children, you just wasted 4 years that you could have been processing the application, right? So sometimes, depending on your situation, if you are able to file right away, I would suggest that you do and not wait, because this um visa bulletin, the availability of a visa can really differ depending on who you're filing for. So like I said, F2B is for children of permanent residents that are over 21 and are married. So if you are a permanent resident and you are filing for your child that's under 21, or you're filing for your spouse, you will be in the category of F2A, which means that those are being processed from June 1st, 2021. So there's not really, you can file today and you're only a few months behind, right? You only have to really wait a few months after the processing time. Once your case is approved, typically you have to wait a couple months, and the National Visa Center will follow up with you to start the DS-260 process and get you in line for um, a visa interview. If you are in the F2B, children over 21 of permanent residents, you're looking at September 22nd, 2016, which would be about actually 5 years. So that will tell you people that filed 5 years ago are now getting those notices. So that basically helps you gauge how long it's going to be before you're able to get to that place where a visa is available for the person you're filing for. So if you want to file today, a reasonable expectation is that it could take up to 5 years for a visa to become available for your child that's over 21, unmarried, of a permanent resident. The thing about this is, if they have to stay unmarried for this to continue to count. Okay. So if they get married before you become a US citizen, it goes away. They can't save it. If they get married after you become a US citizen, they can either choose to stay in this category, which is being processed September 22nd, 2016, or switch to F1, which is for unmarried children over 21 of US citizens. So those are from May 15, 2016. Those are applications that are being processed. As you can see, it is a few months off from lawful permanent resident children that are over 21. Okay. So it really just depends on what the visa availability is so that you know when to actually start the process, um, or how long the process is going to take in this case. Okay. So I get the question all the time, what about brothers and sisters of US citizens? How long does that take? Now, something you need to keep in mind is there is only 65,000 visas available for brothers and sisters of US citizens every year. And then anything that's not used in any of the other categories. So let's say if um, you know, spouses of permanent residents and unmarried children of permanent residents, if they don't use up 22 the 226,000 visas that are made available to them, then the 65,000 may go up, but not really. Like, it just really is a small number. So imagine if every single immigrant in the US has a sibling that's outside of the US and they all file for their siblings to get a visa to the US, how long it's going to take until everyone is reached when there's only 65,000 visas available every single year for this category. Okay? So it's really, really slim. So for that, it's an F4. They are processing cases from 2007. Okay. So now you look at 2007 to now, how long has that been? And you're looking at more like 14 years. Okay. So it's not, I'm showing you this not to discourage you, but if the best time to have filed the application was 14 years ago. The second best time is today. Okay. So you really want to get your application processing. You don't want to wait. If you know that you're going to be filing for your siblings, you want to go ahead and file. Don't let the processing time or the visa bulletin um, scare you off, because it really makes a difference when you file. So don't let this scare you. That's not my goal here. My goal is not to scare you off, but to show you how long it's taken for these applications to be processed and for a visa to become available. Okay, that is my goal with this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please do share it. Hit the like button. And share it with your community. If you know someone that could benefit from this, someone that's looking to file or has filed and they just don't understand why it's taking so long, please go ahead and share this with them, because it will give them some peace of mind to know that it is not them. It is just how long the system is taking to get to their case. Okay. Now, if you are listening to this video in a place that you can subscribe, like my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe so that you will not miss any of my uploads. And once again, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I am eternally grateful to you. You guys are the reason that I am here every single Friday to make sure that you are getting the immigration information that you need. Okay. So, once again, I am attorney Lillian. I am the owner and attorney at Lily Legal, where we help our clients get immigration status for themselves and for their families. And I want to thank you once again for joining me. And I will see you next week, Friday, for more immigration chat. Thank you. Bye for now.